What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Classic Chronicles. I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend and is ready to conquer the week that is. And man, speaking of the weekend, man, my weekend kicked off in a big way this past Friday night because I was at Smackdown at Madison Square Garden, man. What a night it was, man. And I know, like some people are complaining about the opening Bloodline segment that went 40 minutes long, which is essentially, a third of the show. But my God, what amazing television it is! But before we get to all that, um, man, let me just tell you about some of the stuff that went on off the air. So to kick off the night, man, Hit Row came out. Top Dollar, Ashanti the Adonis, and B Fab. They came out and they were basically trashing New York City and their sports teams and how we're all corny and everything. But luckily for us, man. LA Knight came out and who's supremely over right now. They need to put a championship on this man real quick. Hopefully they pull the trigger and put the United States title on him at SummerSlam. Uh, and because why not? Man, he was supremely over, and he quickly dispatched of Hit Row, and what do you call it? Cut a quick promo asking us whose game is it, and everybody was like L.A. Knight, yeah, and then that was pretty cool. So yeah, that was a cool way to kick off the night, and in the opening dark match, you had Lacey Evans taking on Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega, of course, is a Queens girl. And Lacey Evans got booed because of her Sergeant Slaughter gimmick. It's a knockoff gimmick. But yeah, it wasn't the match itself wasn't too wasn't anything to write home about. I mean, Zelina Vega got the win after maybe I would say like maybe 8 minutes. Yeah, no, but it was okay. But yeah, and then SmackDown itself kicked off, man, with a recap of Money in the Bank and Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns for the first time in 3 years, and then yeah, so the in the week leading up to Friday, the Usos put out a tweet saying that they were going to put Roman Reigns on trial for his crimes against the family, and that's what the show kicked off with. Yeah, so like I said in the beginning, it was an amazing segment. Went 40 minutes long, which had had to have other segments be cut, but you know what? For good reason. Because the whole Bloodline saga is probably the best professional wrestling storyline in the last maybe 20 years. Because it's just compelling television. You just want to tune in every single week to find out what's going on. And the tribal court did not disappoint. Roman Reigns was saying, he got beat, but last time he checked, he was the tribal chief, and you know, um, everybody was chanting how he fucked up, and then normally they don't acknowledge stuff like that, but Roman Reigns was saying, no, I didn't. I did this all for the family, and this, that, and the other thing. And then that led to Roman getting on his knees and saying that he doesn't want to be the leader of the bloodline anymore, or provide for the family anymore, and he thinking he was going to hand things off to Jey Uso, but Roman Reigns is a master of facial expression, and that's a lost art in professional wrestling. Facial expression, you can tell the story with words, but if your face doesn't match the words and what you're trying to say on the mic out there, it's not gonna work. And Roman Reigns has absolutely mastered that, and that led to him low blowing his cousin Jimmy Uso, and Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa ended up destroying the Usos, and in the opening segment, and specifically Jimmy Uso making Jey Uso watch, and this led to a stretcher job being done. Jimmy Uso wasn't really injured; it was just a storyline thing, a stretcher job. They they stretched him out of the arena to make it look like you know he was beaten up badly, and then Jay went with him in the ambulance. But yeah, man, it was just a masterful segment, man. And the crowd was real hot for it. And yeah, so nothing else on SmackDown was to write home about. But the one thing I do want to say is, man, every time that you get to see, Edge was a special guest on the Grayson Waller effect. Grayson Waller came out and talking about how Edge had a huge announcement, and kept cutting Edge off every time he was cutting a heartfelt promo about loving New York, and his first experience in New York, which I later found that he broke a cardinal rule that WWE superstars are not supposed to break. He mentioned Sable on television, and apparently that's a big no-no backstage, because Sable, former diva, had a huge falling out with the company. She sued the company, and they don't want any mention of her on WWE TV anywhere. But Edge broke that rule, and mentioned that he was Sable's partner at SummerSlam '98 when they won against Mark Merrow and Miss Jacqueline, and I was there for that. So yeah, that was Edge's pay-per-view debut in Madison Square Garden. How crazy was that? And yeah, no, he, and then Edge went on to say that he's not retiring. In fact, that he talked to the powers that be, and that he has a match against Grayson Waller later in the night. So that match was great. Grayson Waller, even though he's relatively new on the scene, did great in NXT, but got called up to SmackDown, and hasn't wrestled a match since he's been on SmackDown up until this point, because he was injured, and made his debut against Edge, and that's a big opportunity and big shoes to fill, especially in Madison Square Garden, and given all the history that's happened there, as far as wrestling and boxing and other stuff. It's a big spot to be in, and Grayson Waller has definitely a great future ahead of him. I can't wait to see what they do next. And he gave Edge a hell of a match, and Edge came out on top, of course, but Grayson Waller did not disappoint in his first effort on the main roster. So yeah, no, and then the ending segment. With the Usos and Roman Reigns continuing their brawl from earlier in the night. Usos, Roman Reigns, and Solo Sikoa, I should say, continuing their brawl at the end of the night. This time it was just Jay, because Jimmy was obviously selling the stretcher job, and Jey Uso held his own in there against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns ended up escaping, but Solo Sikoa took the wrath of Jey Uso's punishment by getting worn out with a steel chair, and Jey Uso ended up picking up the WWE Universal World Heavyweight Championship, and implying that he's going to challenge Roman Reigns down the line sometime at SummerSlam, and that's how maybe at SummerSlam, I should say, and that's how the show ended, man. And in the dark matches after the show, you had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, taking on Pretty Deadly. That was a cool match. Sami Zayn was playing around with Pretty Deadly, asking them what was up with their shirts, because if you've seen Pretty Deadly, their shirts, the chest is cut to to show their abs and chest and everything, and it looks weird, but apparently they think it's London fashion. So Sami Zayn was playing around with that. That was a quick one, and then in the other match after the show, Seth Rollins defended the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor, and beat him clean in the middle of the ring. And Seth Rollins is extremely over. The crowd was singing his song because it is his theme song is very catchy. So the crowd was just eating it up, and unfortunately, I couldn't get any footage of that because my phone died. But hey, hell of a night. It's always special when SmackDown or anytime WWE comes to Madison Square Garden, man. Always a memory, always a night to remember. And this SmackDown was particularly historic because it broke. I believe it was the highest grossing domestic SmackDown in history, which is amazing, man. Completely sold out. And yeah, it was just a hell of an experience, man. I had a great time. My buddy Mike that was there, I saw him, got to run into Mike. We're going to be working together real soon. Shout out to him. He was there. Man, I'm sure he had a great time, man. It was just a great night in New York, man. Yeah, so that is going to do it for this episode of the Classic Chronicles. Like, subscribe, share. Don't forget to hit that notification button so you don't miss a video. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.